Welcome. My name is Ced. My topic is going to be, the keynote is going to be on digital catalysts for social impact. But I want to focus on the catalyst because what I've realized is that that's probably the area of tension that exists the most, that is not addressed on our end, from being the agencies that work with you and the teams that provide the strategies, and on your end in terms of the results that you expect and what you don't see. There was a really lovely report that was done called Winning Hearts and Minds. It was done by Luminate. It looked at what's working in strategic comms in your sector very specifically. The first thing is they basically talk about how there's a major disconnect between the strategic side of communication and the organizations that are change agents and the activities that they do. It picked 4 key areas that it found to be, I guess, the main things that need to be addressed. And one of them, I mean, the obvious one is that digitization has kind of made us all feel like we can do everything, which is not true. Second thing is, and I think for the people who aren't the owners of the NGOs, they might resonate with this. In-house resources are limited in most change agent organizations. I'm looking at the comms guys, where you tend to end up being told to do everything. The third one is that there's perceptions. Yeah, I'm going to be really honest here, just because we're in a small room, we can't run away, so we have to deal with each other. But there are perceptions of how agencies view NGOs, how NGOs view agencies, and everybody has a trust issue. And the last thing is mostly directed to the funders, because of this, I guess, lack of specific results and like maximum optimal output. There's the lack of impetus to invest in this marketing and communication space is pretty significant. There's 4 key areas that they kind of identified problems in: the pre-planning, which is the origination, how these things come up, right? The EOIs and RFPs and all the other ABC acronyms. All those things are normally done in such a way, the TORs and so on and so forth. All of those are normally done in such a way that the structures are defined based on the programmatic or the activity needs and not the communication and strategic needs. In the planning stage, so now when it actually goes into the beyond the can we get people to do this work, and actually goes into how do we do this work? What is the plan around this? We've skipped past doing strategy and we've gone straight into execution. We are talking about tactics, and there's a specific way we have to talk about those tactics. Does this fit into the larger organizational communication plan? Does this fit that? And if it doesn't fit that, how do we get it to fit that? Then on the execution side, there's also a specific way this has to be done, right? All those things mean that instead of trying to find solutions, we're trying to finish jobs. And that ultimately is where the problem is. Strategy by default is always plan of action designed to achieve long-term objectives, right? Start with the objectives. Start with the why are we here. But in that space of trying to decide why are we here, it's trying to figure out how we define our objectives. There's also what are we trying to do. And I think the key thing I want to kind of highlight here is that there's a pretty significant difference between the goals of this project, what needs to get done for this job to be checked off, and the objectives of this campaign or the objectives of this activity, because those are a little bit different. Sometimes the strategy side of it just means let's sit down and think, what are we actually trying to do? And then how do we actually get to that solution? I think it's important to always kind of give space for the objective to be translated to what you're actually trying to achieve from a digital standpoint. Regardless of who your target audience is, you're speaking to a human being at the end of the day, right? Someone down the pipeline, whoever it is going to be a person, and that person has a personality, has a psychology, has a philosophy, etc., etc. Start from there. Second thing I want to say is, regardless of who you're talking to, somebody else is talking to them. Your message does not exist in a vacuum. The main thing that you have to do is you have to find what actually matters to the person you're talking to. And you're not thinking about it like, oh, the 18 to 25 demographic did it. No, you're thinking about someone who would vote, who has been convinced not to vote. How do you get them to realize that the reason that they're not voting is not their choice? You can't force someone to care about what you care about, regardless of your budget. At the end of the day, I think the goal is for all of us, do more meaningful work, get more impact out of it, get more value out of what we pay.